What if I told you the most powerful religious country in the developed world isn't in Europe or the Middle East? It's the United States. While Europe, Japan, and others rapidly secularized, America didn't. And that belief isn't spread evenly either. It's concentrated. There's a stretch of land across the American South where religion isn't just personal, it's cultural, it's political, it's embedded in every part of life. So the real question isn't whether America is religious, it's why this one region became so intensely religious that it's been shaping American politics, identity, and global influence for over 200 years. And it shows no signs of slowing down. In Mississippi alone, 89% of people consider themselves religious. The states along the belt top 80% in religious affiliation, far exceeding the national average and heavily bucking the secularization trends seen across the rest of the developed world. This level of religious intensity isn't an accident. And the explanation isn't theology. It's geography. The Bible Belt has shaped American politics and culture, but surprisingly, it's remained largely unchanged, ignoring the shifts seen across the rest of the U.S. If you look at the Bible Belt, you'll see another pattern as well. Almost every state wholly included in it today was part of the Confederacy during the American Civil War. The only exceptions are Kentucky, Missouri, and Oklahoma, which was a territory at the time. That makes it easy to associate the Bible Belt simply with the politics that led to that devastating schism in the 1860s. But the roots go back much longer than that. Southern settlements were rural, isolated, and lacked courts, schools, or government. That left the church as the only institution functioning at scale. It's impossible to separate the history of America from religion. Many of the earliest English settlers belonged to small religious sects that disagreed with the direction the Church of England was taking their Protestant faith. The Pilgrims were devoutly religious and austere, and quickly infused that into the early societies. However, in the North, as independence grew closer, that influence faded. Cities like Philadelphia weren't secular, but religion was more of an influence compared to the be-all, end-all. In the South, though, it became the whole society. Because early Southern settlements were so spread out, traditional churches and government buildings were rare. The 18th and 19th centuries saw traveling evangelical preachers sweep through these rural areas. In the South, this new, deeply emotional church didn't just catch on. It became the center of the whole community. And at the core of it all was one man. And not the one you're thinking. If the church was the heart of early rural American life, then the pastor was the community's unofficial leader. The preacher, the judge, and the educator. And that's how the church became not just a hub, but a mainstay. The South continued to grow. Cities sprang up, industries developed. But the one thing that didn't change was the influence of the church and its leader, especially when the region's darkest hour was coming. When the Civil War ended and Reconstruction stripped away what remained of Southern economic and political power, the church remained, the one institution that couldn't be shaken. Trauma didn't weaken the faith, it hardened it. Belief became an identity. So what did this faith, hardened by trauma, go on to build? Religion in the Bible Belt isn't something people check off on Sundays. It's part of daily life. From morning prayers in homes to community events hosted at local churches, faith is the backdrop for everything. Grocery stores advertise Christian music, radio stations run family devotionals during rush hour, and community calendars revolve around church events. Even local sports teams feature church sponsorships and youth programs. This constant presence reinforces the cultural identity of the region. Religion isn't just practiced, it's lived. Children inherit it naturally, feeding an ecosystem that keeps faith embedded in the culture. From neighborhood devotionals to community churches, this foundation scaled into megachurches that dominate both space and influence. Today, the U.S. has roughly 1,800 megachurches, each drawing 2,000 or far more worshipers, a sharp rise in recent decades that underscores the expanding scale and influence of institutional religion. They gather in stately buildings with stadium seating, even jumbotrons. It's big, it's modern, it's a business. Most are Protestant, and most are in the Bible Belt. What started as survival became scale. And that scale built the institutions that now hold real power. And that's just the start of the church's influence. Religious organizations often own or influence local businesses. Megachurches like Lakewood Church in Houston or Life Church in Oklahoma have built out media arms, publishing houses, and app platforms that distribute sermons, books, and curriculum nationwide. This has ripple effects. Local economies benefit, while church-affiliated networks thrive. It just strengthens loyalty and participation. Some churches even coordinate regional job boards, cooperative housing programs, and social services that effectively compete with government offerings. By creating economic dependencies alongside spiritual guidance, these institutions cemented both social and financial influence. In essence, the Bible Belt became not just a cultural and religious region, but an economic one, where faith, commerce, and community all meet. That means they're spreading their gospel wherever you go. Because once institutions scale, they extend beyond just geography. The church being involved in other efforts outside of worship isn't new. Charity drives, soup kitchens, community dinners, it's always there, and it always has a presence. But other remnants of the church's influence are much larger. Thousands of independent K-12 schools are run locally or by larger networks across the Bible Belt. The church also supports homeschooling with tailored curricula. It's an education system, one that's built outside the state. And the church's influence continues to expand. The healthcare system is also part of the network. Nearly 20% of hospitals in the United States are religiously affiliated. The Georgia Infirmary in Savannah, Georgia, began as a segregated hospital for Black patients before becoming part of the St. Joseph's Candler health system. While it is now open to all, the network maintains a strong connection to the religious institutions that founded them. As churches grew, their influence extended beyond community walls, into commerce, into culture and media, and reaching far beyond the South. It eventually became an empire. From airwaves to movie screens, the Bible Belt's influence stretches across the country. Christian radio and TV networks broadcast sermons and music into millions of homes. Evangelical films draw audiences far beyond the South. Musicians sell millions of albums and tour arenas, turning faith into both art and business. Even nationally syndicated talk shows and podcasts carry themes born in the Bible Belt, shaping conversations coast to coast. Through media, the Belt exports its worldview, reinforcing regional identity and influencing national culture. Local survival has grown into a media powerhouse. It can shape conversations and social norms across the U.S. The influence of geography-born faith isn't confined to the South. It's become a structural and cultural force with national reach. The church isn't just a Sunday thing. It's the backbone of a culture. And when a system touches everything, it becomes unavoidable. The church spent over a century building this network of community involvement. It offers alternatives to secular culture. It provided a moral guidance that allowed it to gain an outside influence in the Bible Belt. Infrastructure creates coordination, and coordination creates power. But the church didn't settle. It soon parlayed that same influence into political power. It became seen as a kingmaker for those seeking to get elected in the South. While the church has always been involved in politics one way or another, it began polarizing more heavily in the late 20th century. But that doesn't mean the church was always in alignment. In the early 20th century, many evangelical groups were associated with progressive causes due to the church's history of advocacy for the poor. The Scopes trial, a heated clash over teaching evolution, fractured churches and quelled political involvement for a time. Decades later, a new generation of evangelical leaders, led by prominent televangelists, returned to the national stage, and they spoke as one with their goals. In the past, Christian advocacy groups may have been more focused on anti-poverty issues, but they later became laser-focused on social issues. They argued against what they saw as immorality in the culture. Hot-button Supreme Court decisions motivated them even further. Groups like Focus on the Family and the Moral Majority became major power players, playing a key role in the U.S. presidential election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 and Newt Gingrich becoming Speaker of the House. The Bible Belt doesn't just shape Southern culture. It shapes state and national leadership as well as policy. Because a community that's forced to build its own institutions has lasting power. The church's influence in politics isn't straightforward for one big reason. It's illegal for tax-exempt organizations to endorse candidates directly. Pastors are careful not to breach their responsibilities to their parishioners and put the church's funding in jeopardy. But that's only a challenge for those pastors who don't know how to work around it. Sure, you can't say vote for this candidate, but you can tell your parishioners exactly which issues God would want them to prioritize. Because sometimes it's all about how you divide things. Many religious leaders wear two hats, pastor and political organizer. As long as church finances stay separate, there's no legal conflict. This lets powerful organizations influence both faith and politics, with parishioners often active in each sphere. Today, Southern Christians are immersed in their faith every way they look. It isn't just participation, it's immersion. The church has spent well over a century entrenching itself at the heart of community life in the Bible Belt, and it looks unlikely to change anytime soon. Many people literally spend their life cradle to grave in the arms of the church, and that's not a pattern that's easy to break. Today, the Bible Belt is more like a finger in the dam of American Christianity. Everywhere else, the system weakened, but here it held. In 1976, 91% of Americans identified as Christian. By 2022, that fell to 64%, with some denominations losing nearly a third of their members. Christianity remains the largest U.S. religion, but millennials and Gen Z are moving away from traditional practices, all except for one region. No state in the Bible Belt dips below 79% in identifying as religious, with North Carolina and Missouri bringing up the rear. These are all states where the network of churches is strong, and most people grow up immersed in the faith from minute one. Because the roots aren't just cultural, they're structural. It affects the culture in countless ways. In some areas, the Bible Belt isn't just bucking the trend of reduced religion, they're holding down the line on traditional practices. When you look at a map of schools in the United States that still allow corporal punishment of students, it matches up with the Bible Belt almost exactly. While churches still focus on preaching, there's a massive network of businesses that rely on the religious community in the area. That's why, even as the rest of the developed world secularized, the Bible Belt remains a powerful testament to how geography can define the destiny of a people. Because in the Bible Belt, Christianity isn't just a faith, it's a matter of pride. And identity doesn't decline the way belief does. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on unpack.